What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is a series of unfortunate events, Season 1, Episode 5, Wide Window, Part 1. So, this is a return to it after not being able to watch it for a long time. And it's okay. Like, here's the thing. I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to look at it as its own thing. You know, I'm trying not to draw to the book at all. I'm trying not to compare it to the book because they're doing their own spin on it. They're not doing it exactly like the book. They are taking key elements from it for sure. But overall, there have been quite a few changes. There have been a lot of different things added in. Like I said, the main story for this, it's like in the books it was all about the Baudelaires and what they were going through throughout the entire thing. It was just their story. The movie was a little more focused on Count Olaf and the Baudelaires, like their connection. This is definitely a lot more focused on, like I said earlier, the Baudelaires figuring out about the secret organization that their parents were a part of. So there are definitely a lot more scenes devoted to that than probably were in the book. In fact, I don't even remember if there was that safe in the book or not. I don't, like, that's the thing. There's certain scenes I'm just like, was that in the book? Was that not in the book? I don't remember. So it's kind of nice not having read the books for several years, coming to this, because that way I'm not so like, oh, I remember this and I remember this, and they're not doing it like this and blah 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 blah. So that part is nice. However, there are certain things that I just feel like doesn't belong in this show. There are too many references to really modern things. You know, not like there's some things that are just not that modern, but they're jokes that are definitely modern. But they make an Uber reference in this one, and I'm just like, do we have to do that? You know, like that just it kind of takes something away. You know, whenever there's this show and they're doing such a good job of representing it from the book, and even though the jokes, some of them are a lot more modern. I mean, the joke from the last episode where Olaf and what's her name? Crap. I can't remember her name now. The agent from VFD that's following the Baudelaires around. They end up on the ship, and so they're like sitting there pulling out like bigger weapons. It's just like harpoon gun. It's like, is that a harpoon gun? That type of humor is definitely a lot more modern than the humor that was in the book. It's a lot more goofy. It's a lot more played towards the kids as well. So that type of humor I'm okay with because it's their own spin. That's kind of what they've been doing with this. Some of it has been very kid-like humor. And there's also been a lot of jokes for older people as well. You know, some jokes that definitely kids will be like, I don't get it, because it's very dry humor at times. And most of that is Lemony Snicket. But throwing in an Uber reference just makes it feel like, oh yeah, clearly this was made right now. You know, like now it just takes it out of the reference, I guess. It takes it out of the time that I feel like this show is going for. So it didn't really fit with the rest of it. It felt like something that was just like, oh, let's see, they're talking about getting a ride. Ooh, we can have Sonny say Uber and baby talk. It's like, no, no, please stop that. There probably have been a couple other like more modern day references in the first few that I missed, but that one just really, when I saw that, I'm just like, it really got to me. I'm just like, no, I don't want to see stuff like that in this show. The rest of it, though, pretty well done. They meet Aunt Josephine, of course, in this one, and you know she's very timid. She's supposed to be fierce and formidable, but long life has caused her to become very scared of everything: doorknobs, telephones, doorbells. In fact, actually, it's kind of funny because I don't remember if the doorbell thing was in the book or not. I remember the doorknobs was a big thing for her. She's like, what if one of them exploded and a piece went into your eye? Stuff like that was just kind of really weird. But, you know, she's very good at portraying that kind of timid, but also very, I guess, she loves grammar, and so my grandmother used to teach English as a professor in a college, and they have this mannerism English professors do that it's like they want the grammar to be correct, and you could see that side of her coming out. So even though she's very timid, she's like scared of everything, she's screaming at everything, but then somebody makes a grammar mistake, she's like, now listen, it's not this, it's supposed to be that. So she did a very good job. It is strange, you know, Mr. Poe has already changed from being this fat white guy to being black. You know, he's not fat and he's not white, he's now black. And Josephine went from being this pale old lady, and now she's black and not as old. So I think part of that is because I don't think there were any black characters in the actual books. Like I don't remember anymore. There may have been a couple, but I think for the most part they kind of left race out of it. You know, they didn't talk about different races or anything. So I think this is kind of like, let's make it a little bit diversified, which I don't mind. You know, if you want to put somebody of a different race in there, at least as long as they're doing a good job of it, I could care less what color their skin is. You know, we're all human here. As long as they don't make like, you know, if they had made one of their parents black, I'd be like, come on, that's going a bit too far there. But you know, Aunt Josephine is like, she is related to them through marriage, so it does make sense that she could have been Hispanic for all we know. So I don't mind that at all, and she did a very good job. It's funny seeing her in this part though, because I saw her in Luke Cage, and she was like this badass woman that just took nothing from anybody. And now watching her as Aunt Josephine, like all scared and timid, it's so funny to see the complete opposite side of her. So that part was fun. Seeing, you know, Neil Patrick Harris now playing Captain Sham. It's very interesting to see this show's take on it, especially when you compare it to the movie and how they handled Count Olaf in that. Because honestly, like I said before, in this show, they're really playing to the naivete of the adults. You know, in the movies, it actually looked like the kids could see through it, but the adults couldn't, because Count Olaf was actually really good at disguises. You know, Jim Carrey can obviously play a huge range of parts, and so each one, Count Olaf, Stefano, Captain Sham, they all looked and felt like completely different characters. In this, it's like Count Olaf just using a slightly different voice. You know, like every single one, you can easily tell it's Count Olaf. He just kind of tweaked his voice a little bit, put on a little bit of extra hair, and that's kind of what the books made it feel like. It made it feel like you could easily tell it was Captain or Count Olaf, but the adults couldn't see it. The adults just whatever, kind of ignored it. And so I like the fact that they continue to play that. However, I will have one complaint in that the design or the peg leg doesn't make any sense in this version. Because in the movie and in the books, it was like there was a wooden peg, but he was able to fit his leg inside of it. This one, the peg's like this big. So, how? Because it makes sense why he's able to do it. Neil Patrick Harris, you know, he probably puts his knee on top of a peg leg. But if Count Olaf were doing that, unless Aunt Josephine has not seen him from behind, no, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, you couldn't just make it to where it's a peg leg that could easily fit his leg inside. You couldn't do that at all. No, okay. But all in all, you know, it was fun seeing him portray a slightly different character from Count Olaf. I feel like that's just going to be really enjoyable, seeing that slight change from episode to episode. Like, ooh, it's a different person, this guy's, we swear, and it's so obviously him, and the Baudelaires are the only ones that are smart enough to see it. A couple other things, just like I said, I think I said this in the last one for the Reptile Room, I kind of feel like they're taking a bit of the magic of the henchmen out of it by having all of them in every episode. You know, in the books it was like there was always one henchman. You know, it was in the Reptile Room it was the hook-handed man, and in this one it was the man that was neither, or the person that was of undeterminable gender. And I think in the next one it was the two white-faced ladies. So it felt special to have one of them there. You know, you're just like, ooh, it's the hook-handed man this time. Ooh, it's the bald man with the pointy nose this time. And this is just like, oh, they're in every single episode, and they're constantly there. They're constantly involved. It's not like they're just kind of popping up every now and then. They're there all the time. So it's just, I don't know, it kind of takes a little bit away from it, in my opinion. I know why they're doing it, because, like I said, they're focusing more on the secret organization element of it. And so we see Count Olaf, like, going to all of these different members of the organization that are kind of keeping an eye on the Baudelaires, and without the help of his posse, he probably wouldn't be able to actually get through them. So that's why they're constantly there. That's why they're in every episode. Just me personally, I was hoping it was going to be a little bit less of the henchmen and more Count Olaf with like one henchman involved. But it's a change that they decided to make, and so far it's not terrible. It's just as a personal preference, I don't really enjoy that, but yeah, it's still okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, of course, the ending. I really do. I like where they're leaving a lot of these episodes off. I do remember a little bit from the books. I'm not. I've said before, it's been a while since I've read them, so I don't remember everything. But I do remember a lot, and especially from these first three books because the movie reminded me a lot of it. I saw that. That was only like what 5 years ago that I saw that or something. Probably a little bit longer. But I do remember, a lot of the story, the main points. And so going into this episode, I'm like, I hope they end it with her out the window and then getting the message. And that's exactly where they end it. And for the most part, that tends to be the theme here. Like they're ending it at a very good point in every episode where things are starting to go wrong. We meet Count Olaf in the first episode. They meet the Guardian meets Count Olaf as his impersonation or whatever, and then you get to the halfway point and it ends on kind of a oh no note. And just, I don't know, the way that they handle the parents in every episode is always fun, that they end on a parent's note. They're decoding a message in this one and they're about to fly a plane unless, I don't know where they're going. I don't know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to get to their kids, but it's just a lot of fun to see every episode is ending exactly where it should as far as the story is concerned. And we're also getting a little bit of the parent story every episode. It's not that much. It's normally like maybe a minute long with the parents. And it's very well paced. It's very well done there. So I really like what they're doing with that. And overall, I mean, I'm still enjoying it. The couple problems that I am having are problems. And hopefully they're problems that obviously the first season is done. And hopefully when they get into the second season, they look back and say, okay, so this didn't work and this didn't work, so let's try to cut some of that stuff out. So maybe that will happen as we go forward. Maybe not. Maybe they'll continue to just do the same thing because they want to keep it their style. And if they want to do that, that's fine. It may not be a personal preference, but I can respect the fact if you're going to stick to your guns and say, this is how we're doing it. Even though you may not like the Uber reference, we want to have jokes like that. It's up to them. So all in all, still a good episode, still enjoying this season so far. Hopefully I can finish this season soon. But for now, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future series of Unfortunate Events reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.